Welcome to Brews and Boxing. I'm your host, Raider Live. Back with you another week of boxing news and analysis after a big fight week. With me, as always, are the experts, my personal friends, my personal panel of experts, the biggest boxing experts you'll ever meet and know. The only opinions that matter are theirs. We'll start with the one, the only, been here from the beginning, Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, how are you?
Look, after 2,766 days, let me start that over. After 2,766 days of ring absence, CM Punk has returned to AEW. I screwed that up. Let's keep it rolling.
Hey, at least it wasn't about the Yankees. We got that going for us, which is nice. All right. And then also filming from a new location, just because Mother Nature said F you to the old Judge Jimmy James. Filming from my basement is the one, the only Judge Jimmy James. Judge, how are you?
Yeah, I've been better. But, at least we've got internet. My power's getting fixed, and your dog really likes me. So, all right.
Well, we'll have to put a picture in editing of what happened to your power today. But we got a big show here today. We got Brews and News to get to, and then we have Brews and Reviews of the biggest fight, probably, maybe of the year, possibly. We'll talk about it. Pacquiao versus Ugas, or as they kept saying during the Ugas. I don't know why they kept saying that, Ugas, but that's not his name. Anyway, before we do that, though, let's crack a beer, gentlemen, because it's show day. All right, gentlemen. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good. All right, on with the show. All right, Brews and News to get to this week. Plenty of Brews and News to get to. The first thing kind of hit our phones, and we all text each other almost immediately going, WTF, what is going on here? But Jamal Charlo was arrested, apparently, when he was down in Texas for his brother's fight there, allegedly from stealing from a waitress. Now, how the story goes, I guess, is that his credit card got declined, and the waitress wouldn't give it back, so he decided to get up and take his credit card back, and while he was in there, take all her tips for the night and then run out the door, knocking her over, and someone in his group stepped on her leg and hurt her. Despite all that, it's looking like 2 felony charges for Jamal Charlo. You can't do that stuff in Texas, apparently, and very, very interesting that he's going to go face some big sanctions, probably, I'd imagine. What do you guys think? Judge, we'll start with you, because you sent this out first. I'll give you the first chance to talk about it since your text message was first.
Ooh. Well, it was first. You pretty much just said the whole story. So I don't really have too much to add. I'm really surprised that you would do something like that. I mean, he had to have been
wasted.
I assume he'd had to have been intoxicated or something, because I think it was around, I don't know, this story has it around 2 a.m.
Yep.
That she did this, or that he did this. I'm flabbergasted. I mean, why even worry about it? Have someone in your entourage foot the bill. I mean, what is it really that much? Like, and then you steal from the waitress? Like, ooh, that don't sit right with me on a moral level, man. I think I'm gonna have to switch and say that Jermel is now the better brother. All around. But yeah, this is pretty unfortunate. And like you said, these are felony charges in Texas. Yep. So
big deal. You come with some serious jail time with this too.
Yeah. So hopefully this doesn't ruin his career. But
I do have a theory on what may have happened. He may have, he said his credit card got declined. How would his credit card get declined? He's got plenty of money from fights and stuff like that. So my theory is that actually Adrian Broner was out there with him and he handed him the wrong card. And he was trying to get Adrian Broner's card back before he got like a fraud on top of him. And then it just all went downhill from there. That was my guess. Filthy Rich, how do you think this is going to affect Charlo's career? Do you think he's going to face suspension for this? Or how do you go about it? I mean, obviously, everyone wants to jump to guilty before proven innocent. But it is what it is. Now that the court of public opinion is not on his side right now from everything that we've heard. So what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's still too early to comment. This story just happened like a day ago, maybe 2 days ago. We heard about it. He finally got arrested yesterday. Um, you wonder where his people are to protect him. Where was Jermel to protect his brother? I don't know how. Again, this is a very new and developing story. I don't know what intoxication levels are like, and you don't know where his brother is in all this. So I'd like to see like who is out there to protect him from himself and who can fit that bill. Why wasn't like an identification card given and said, look, they got to know who this guy is. He's from Texas. All this happened in San Antonio, but I believe he's from like the Houston area. All that aside, the state has to be behind him. Everyone knows who this guy is. There's no reason for him to commit some sort of fraud. At least I don't think there's a reason. Maybe we find out later. But here's my ID. Here's my address. Send me the bill. You know where I live. If you don't get your payment in 30 days, I don't know, arrest me. I don't know, for burglary. I don't know what you would call it. Dine and dash. I don't know how you would do it, but
Well, it's not a dine and dash if
this
he
is
steals
still
your
too
tips.
early to comment on, and we'll get more details as they come out. It wouldn't surprise me if we talked about this in the next month or so. He won't face any time though.
Well, I don't know about that. It's Texas. I mean, if it was somewhere else, I might understand that, but it's Texas, and they don't like that. And the problem is, you can't just send the money back because it's not a dine and dash. You took your tips. That's different. It's like robbing a bank and just saying, "Well, I don't get in trouble if I send the money back." It's a done deal, and it's Texas. They give teenagers the chair in Texas. So I mean, I don't know. We should be watching this a little bit. I know it's new. I want to see how all of it comes out. Apparently, there's video of it too, but we haven't seen that yet. So.
According to the story here on ESPN, they said that him and the bar actually agreed to settle the tab the next day. It was $2,300, but the police were already involved at that time. So
Right.
I don't know.
Still doesn't explain stealing her tips, though. That doesn't.
Could just be a headline grab. If I'm reading this story, if you read this one on ESPN, it sounds like a headline grab. So.
Well, we aren't going to make any decisions of guilty or innocent here until more stuff comes out. So, good luck, Jamal. I hope you didn't do it, and if you did, I'm sorry. You're going to have to pay for what you did. So, all right, let's move on to the next bit of news here. You're going to love this one, Rich. The WBA officially vacated all the interim titles that they have. That's a lot of titles, and they vacated them all. And they're saying they're going to have potential mandatory matchups now for the titles. The interim champs list losing a title. Some of the big ones that I see on here are Daniel Dubois, Chris Eubank Jr., Rolando Romero, who we talked about last week, Chris Colbert, a few other names. There's some smaller names in there too. What do you think about the WBA going destruction and nuclear on its title picture? They were the ones that stated a few weeks ago that they were going to cut a lot of titles out. What do you think about this? This is they're just cutting them all out and saying these guys got to fight to be able to become number one contender.
To me,
yeah, that was to you, Rich. Sorry.
So I mean, good, great. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, the titles don't matter. Let me read off some names for you quickly. Tyson Fury, Artur Beterbiev, Caleb Plant, Jamal Charlo, Triple G, Erickson Lubin, Brian Castano, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. The list goes on. Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson. There's plenty more. None of them are even ranked in any WBA rankings. So you can get rid of every belt you want, but to not have Tyson Fury ranked in the top 15 in your heavyweight rankings, I don't care how you can add belts, you could take away belts, you could do whatever you want, but you don't have Tyson Fury ranked in the top 15. You don't have Beterbiev ranked in the top 15. So yeah, great. It's news. It's kind of a dead week, but I wonder if they think they're doing the right thing. At the end of the day, you're going to need to make money. So go ahead and add some belts. I don't know what the plan is, but a step in the right direction is to rank guys properly. Start there. After that, I don't care what you do with the belts, but again, start with ranking these guys properly. Every one of those names, none of them are ranked on WBA rankings. So take that for what it's worth.
I will take it what's worth. James, what do you take it as?
Well, that was interesting because I did not realize any of that stuff. But I mean, I think it's good that they're getting rid of one set of belts. I think there's still like gold and world belts that
Franchise.
they still have or whatever. But so it's kind of a joke like that. But I know some of these people kind of sit behind their belt. I know like Chris Eubank Jr. really likes to say, I've got a belt. Well, no, you don't anymore. So now you're gonna have to fight somebody. Rolly Romero. I don't even know. We were talking about him last week. You know what I mean? Like that's just another one that probably is gonna tout that as I have a belt, so I'm should be higher up. I think this is a good step in the right direction. I think that this is going to at least spark some fights. A couple of them that they've already had, or not that they have, but are expected, I guess, given the news that they have here, is like Chris Eubank Jr. is going to fight, or is proposed to fight Iris Landy Lara. That's probably a good one. Gervonta Davis might fight Rolly Romero because of this. I think that's kind of crazy. Bivol might actually fight Joshua Buatsi, which is interesting.
Friend of the show would love that.
So I mean, it's setting stuff up where they're becoming the next in line. So it's hopefully going to force some better, bigger fights. But given what you just said, Rich, I don't even know how much credit I hold the WBA for any of this at this point. So that's I'm gonna have to do more research on that. That is crazy. That's a lot of lost respect, but at least I think it's a step in the right direction. Get rid of some of these belts and let's regress and move forward.
Yeah, well, WBA at least taking a step towards Rich's utopia of less belts, or belts that don't matter anymore.
You want to unify, make these alphabet organizations unify, make them guys unify. Let's not worry about fighters trying to unify these garbage belts. Make the IBF and IBO unified to the IBFO, and the WBA, WBC, WBO just be called, GE. I don't know what. I just make something up. I mean, none of it matters. But how about the governing bodies unify first? After that, redo some rankings, because their rankings are just a mess. Because out of all those guys I named, some of them guys are not listed on the IBF and IBO websites either. So it's not just the WBA that's a joke. A lot of these guys are a joke. If Anthony Joshua didn't have a belt, his name would have been on this list too, because I don't think he's ranked in like the IBF. I don't know. Maybe he has 4 belts. Bad example. But what they need to do is ESPN needs to just step in there and make an ESPN belt. And if you want to have this belt, you have to fight on ESPN. Give that to Terrence Crawford. And if Spence or whoever wants to fight for the ESPN title, he has to sign a contract with ESPN for one fight. Fox can get a title, PBC or whoever, DAZN can get their own title, but get these alphabet titles out of the way. I'm done with you.
Got a proposal. The BAB belt. Still hasn't been created yet. Let's do it. Let's
bring it in.
Once the website gets up and running, which we have no plans on up and running a website, but we'll have our own rankings up there.
Hey, Jim went to college for that, so we'll get it eventually. We'll do that. So. All right. Sorry that my dog was talking in the background there. I apologize for that. He just really likes the judge. I mean, really likes the judge. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Teofimo Lopez versus Kambosos is headed to Hulu Theater on October 5th. They're finally healthy enough to fight. It's still going to be a Triller fight hosted by Triller. You can get it $19.99 by itself, or part as a $3 monthly subscription to Triller Verse, which kicked off August 3rd during the Michael Hunter fight. Triller is my favorite one to watch a show on, or watch a fight on. I'll tell you that. I think they have everything in line and the way to go. Teofimo Lopez and Kambosos Jr. Wouldn't it be crazy if Kambosos actually won this fight after all this? But Teofimo still kind of has a Lomachenko in the back of the mind, I think. James, what do you think about this fight finally being happen October 5th? This is probably the next big fight. Obviously, it's like a week away, right?
I don't know if it's a week away. October 5th?
2 weeks
Is it
away.
August?
2 weeks. Oh, October. Oh, I read that wrong.
Jeez. Oh,
Okay.
It's all right. All right. We'll just keep going. So,
Ugh.
is it a big fight? Yeah, it's a big. I mean, it's been a hyped up fight. I don't know how big of a fight it's going to be. I mean, the weirdest thing I take away from this specific fight is that October 5th is a Tuesday. They are having a pay-per-view fight on a Tuesday night. I mean, actually, I don't even know what time it is. Hopefully, it's Tuesday night. Maybe hopefully, like Tuesday at noon, and they're trying something really new. But I don't understand. Like they couldn't get it in, they couldn't get it on Lopez's terms, and they couldn't get it on Kambosos' terms out in Australia because they had all this stuff happening. So then it's just so they settle on Tuesday for a pay-per-view, which is just odd. I don't think it should be a pay-per-view fight, to be honest with you. You might as well just try to get people back on the Triller bandwagon. Don't charge for it. Let's just make it happen and let's roll with it. But I don't know, man. It's just it's super weird, and I hope it's not the norm moving forward.
Well, I'll tell you, if anyone could pull it off, it's Triller. Triller could pull it off a Tuesday if anyone could pull it off. And they're only charging $20. And they're offering it for free if you take the $3 or $4 monthly charge that they have, which I pay more than more for that for Hulu as it is. So, I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, and it's a good fight. And they'll probably, knowing Triller, probably put some good acts around it, some good singers, some good shows, maybe a fun Ric Flair slap fight or something. You never know. But I mean, I'll watch it. I'll pay for it. You know, $20 is $20. I blew that at Chipotle today. Filthy Rich, what do you think about a Tuesday pay-per-view starring these two?
all right. So first, I need one of you guys to look up where the Hulu theater is, because that's going to answer a question. Another thing I want to touch on quickly is Kambosos is ranked in all five governing bodies. The WBA, WBC, this guy who does not make our top 10 list is ranked in every one of these things. So going back to our previous story, someone like Kambosos and Michelle Rivera is ranked on all four or all five, depending on how many organizations we're talking. But you got an answer for me on the Hulu theater?
Yeah, it's an MSG.
Yep.
See, that is weird to me that I thought it was in like Madison Square Garden, New York.
Yeah.
That seems weird to me that they're calling it the Hulu theater. I don't know what's going on. Triller must know something. I was looking at the football schedule, and the Monday before this is Vegas at Los Angeles. And I thought, maybe Hulu theaters in Vegas, they're onto something. But even then, the football games in Los Angeles, Lopez is an ESPN guy, and the Monday night games on ESPN. Maybe they're gonna dump a bunch of money off and try to really push this to, hey, no one's doing anything tomorrow on a Tuesday. If you got time, check out this fight. It's going to be at, whatever time. This doesn't make any sense to me, but I do like the fact that Triller is willing to take a risk. A Tuesday night when they're not head to head with a football game or some wrestling, which is on like almost every night of the week. They are not, this is going to be their time slot. And if this works out, we might have Tuesday night fights, once a month, once every couple months. I don't know if there's a big fight that Saturday night and they didn't want to interfere, or maybe the previous Saturday night, but good for them. I applaud the risk. I hope this works out. Raider Live said he's buying. So James, I'm in, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm in.
Here.
We'll do it here. We'll do it with my dog barking in the background. But I think you're onto something there, Rich. I didn't put that together because, Saturday nights is college football. Sunday nights is NFL football. And so is Thursdays and Mondays. They've taken over pretty much everything else. So you got Friday night and you got Tuesday night. If you're not going to compete with something else on a Friday night, people going out, then Tuesday night seems like the best possible day to go.
And even then, wrestling is on Friday nights. Like,
well, there
Monday
you go.
night's the big one, but there's two, talk about CM Punk. He's back on Friday nights. Roman Reigns and John Cena and Brock Lesnar. These guys are on Friday nights.
Yeah, so Tuesday's the way. Tuesday's the way to go for Triller, I think. I think this might be I think that you might be onto something or on something, one of the two. But I think you're onto something. Personally, is what I
But
think.
in all honesty, I'm more with James though. Make this thing free. See how many people are actually interested in this before you just start charging $20. Because if you get a lot of eyes on this thing, then you can start pushing. Hey, in December, our next Tuesday night fight, we're pushing so and so on you, but we're charging $20, and see how much people get on. Because you know what? Lopez has some promoting to do. I have not seen this guy. I have not heard from him in a long time. Wouldn't surprise me if this Kambosos fight's called off again. I don't know what's going on. I mean, this is the news here right now, but I need to see both of these guys on some show on ESPN or something. But these guys, you can line them up, and the common Ryan hype will not be able to identify these guys. So they need to do some promotion.
I agree, but I don't know. I'm interested to see how it works out. But Hulu, not Hulu, Triller. I understand the bringing it for free stuff, but at the same time, they're only offering you can get a membership for $3 or $4 a month, and if you times that by 12, what is that? That's 12, 24, $48 a year, if that. So I mean, you can either get they're saying you can reserve or become a member now, and you'll get all these fights for a year. Or you can just have this one if you just want to see this one for 20. I don't think that's out of the range. That's not out of bounds. I don't think. Maybe I don't know. If they would say it was like 50 or $40, I would have thought that would have been too high. But 20 doesn't seem like that bad, does it? Do you guys really think that's going to be a sticking point?
I don't know, but like it's sounding like they're trying to do a DAZN thing where for $15 a month, you get all of this. But
Right.
we don't know what Triller's marketing strategy is. Because as far as I know, they have all the versus battles. Or maybe that's Instagram. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think of Triller as a network of boxing. I think of it as like a variety show. A lot of music is on Triller. So are we going to get free concerts with this? Are we getting boxing? Is it, you combine the two and for $5, you get all of it. We don't know. And they have not done a good job of pushing this on us and advertising this to us. You just said something launched just recently.
Yeah, that was their monthly thing. It just launched last month.
Fair enough. Well, I've had the Triller app on my phone for like 3 months, and I have not heard a single thing about what you were talking about.
Well, their marketing is bad, but their shows are great. I'll give them that. All right, that's it for news this week. Got through a lot of stuff there, a lot of big news, but we also have a big fight to talk about to break down from last weekend. We were going to do a live show, but unfortunately the internet just didn't work out for us that day. So we're going to talk about it now and break it all down like we were going to that day, but we have a lot to talk about. So let's get down to that right now. Bruising reviews time. Got to review this amazing fight that happened this last weekend. Might have been the end of an era. If you listened to my betting advice last week, you cashed in a pretty good check like I did, $800, which was pretty nice. But I'm not always right, so it's nice to be able to get our betting fans some money once in a while. Very fun fight to watch, very interesting fight to watch, start to finish. I'm going to let you guys break it down. I'll do my everyman's approach from what I saw after you guys break it down professionally. James, you want to start us off about breaking it down a little bit, then we'll go a little bit with Rich, and then me, and then we will break into what's next to these guys.
Sounds good. So I'll start off with giving credit to Ugas. Was a good fight. Not actually what I was 100% expecting. Definitely interesting. So some of the points that I wanted to touch on kind of fall on game plan, right? Like if everyone is a fan of boxing, they all know Manny Pacquiao's style. Some of you guys might not be aware of Ugas' style because he's a little bit different than your standard Cuban fighter. But the things that I saw were that Pac-Man, I think, was actually a lot better than people think, right? His game plan was actually fairly effective. However, the punches, the thing that was off with Pac-Man was his timing. A lot of the punches that he was missing against Ugas were missing Ugas by probably an inch. If you watch a lot of these, they were just barely missing. And I'm giving a lot of credit to Ugas because when Ugas was throwing punches, he wasn't leaning his face forward when he was punching, which was throwing Manny's timing off to be counterpunching because he would then try to hit where Ugas should have been, and he wasn't there. This is the reach advantage that Ugas had against Manny, and he was utilizing it and using it extremely well. And I think that's pretty much what won him this fight. Was he was able to land hard shots. Both of them landed extremely hard shots. I mean, just look at each other's faces afterwards. But that was the biggest takeaway that I saw from that, is that Manny was just barely missing his punches when he was missing, and Ugas just wasn't. It was weird because he was pretty stationary. It didn't seem like he was moving. It seemed like he knew that Manny was waiting for him to react in a, I guess, a ferocious manner, and it never really happened. It never manifested that way, and it allowed Ugas to hit Manny on some of these counter punches when he was missing. I think Max Kellerman even said it, if Pacquiao would have thrown 20 to 30 more punches each round, that he would have won that fight. I don't think that's the case. I think if he just would have timed his punches a little bit better and adjusted, that he probably would have won that fight. But that was the biggest takeaway that I saw with that. I don't know if that's what anybody else saw. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I think I'm still going to give credit to Ugas. I think he had a good game plan. Pac-Man just, they said that it was his legs cramped up, or he said his legs cramped up. I just don't think that was the case. I think it boils down to more about timing. But yeah, that's what I saw was the biggest takeaway for me.
Rich, you want to go next, or you want me to do my take?
Well,
you go next. Go ahead.
All right. So I think James was right about something there at the beginning. He's probably right the entire time. Throw all that away. One thing that really stuck with me was Manny's got I think it was a 67-inch reach. Ugas must have been 68 inches away from him the entire time, because he just kept Manny at like a 1-inch distance, where Ugas had a 69-inch reach and was able to hit him every time. And I mentioned the keys to victory were going to be, one of them was power, and he hit. It looked like I would have rather been hit by Manny's punches than Ugas's punches. Ugas didn't throw very many, and I don't care about that percentage stuff. But when he connected, it was hard. You can tell these were hard punches thrown. This was a pretty close fight. It was almost, I wouldn't say swing either way, but I thought Ugas hit Manny harder. Manny was clearly the busier fighter. Ugas stayed in that straight line with his gloves up the entire time. There's a couple rounds I found it hard to give to either one of the guys. I gave one round to Manny. I believe it was like the 7th round. I put an asterisk next to his name because I didn't think it was productive out of either one of these guys, but he threw more punches. He looked to be the busier fighter. There was a round I gave to Ugas where it must have been round 9 or something, where I didn't see much activity either one, but Ugas hit Manny harder than Manny would have hit him. So it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be close. I don't know what the scorecards really said, but Raider, go ahead, because I want to talk about Manny Pacquiao retiring. Before I get into that, you cover something.
Well, here's what I saw from the everyman approach that I saw. I saw that Ugas's jab was unbelievable. Manny could not figure out Ugas's jab. The jab totals were ridiculous, and obviously Manny is never going to be able to jab against Ugas very well. But Ugas's jab was very effective and very powerful too. I mean, you could tell they were stinging Manny, and he didn't want to get inside on a lot of those things. And the second thing I noticed, going back to what you said about Ugas's punches being more powerful, they were, in the fact that, like, even when you saw Manny cover up and Ugas would hit the gloves, it would still send Manny shuffling to the side 2-3 steps after getting hit. You could tell he was getting hit. I thought that Manny had a few effective runs. I thought the only way Manny was going to win, besides a weird scorecard, was he was going to have to catch him at some point. But I think Ugas felt Manny's power early and respected it, but didn't fear it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think he ever feared about getting knocked out I think he respected the power of getting that it hurt, but I don't think he could ever. I don't think he felt like he could get knocked out by it. They both did a lot of damage to each other. I don't know if you saw Manny today. He had to have stitches to close up both of the cuts, and then his jaws apparently messed up to the point where he can only be spoon fed for a few weeks right now. Ugas didn't look too good either. His eyes were starting to swell shut because, Manny did a lot of work. Manny did what he had to do in the fact that he had so many more punches, more volume, but I thought Ugas's punches were more effective and more like when he threw a punch, he was throwing a punch for a purpose. Manny was throwing so many punches that were just bouncing and hitting gloves that Ugas would just cover up and wasn't taking any damage from. And I thought that Ugas's plan was almost just like let Manny wear himself out by punching the gloves as much as he can and work the jab. And I thought it worked perfectly. And let's give credit to the judges. They actually got a scorecard right. That's exactly how I had it. Was 116, 113, what they said it was, or 116, 114, 117, 113, whatever it was. Whatever you sent me, that's exactly where I had it too. It was close. I thought Ugas won the last 4 or 5 rounds. Manny just kind of puttered out a little bit there, but Manny's still a champion. He's still obviously an all-time great. It was not a sad way to go out, I didn't think, but it was enlightening enough to me where I felt like that he's just not a competitor like we thought he is anymore. Like Father Time's catching up to him. The heart's there, but the body's not going to be there as well. I don't know if that's what you guys thought. I'll let you guys react to what me, the everyman, saw. You guys have any comments on that? Rich, go ahead.
You nailed it. Where he respected Manny's, I don't know if it's power, but even a punch, but he didn't fear it.
Right.
He moved forward almost the entire time. To kind of, I kind of lost track there, but my 3 points to victory were power, intimidation, and defense. Ugas executed all 3 of those. Again, it was a close fight. The common man who watched it, which is yourself, had Ugas winning. There should be no uproar. I think I don't know, like Pacquiao putting pictures of what's going on now, that I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see it. I don't care. Like, I'm sure Ugas is going through the same thing. And I'm sure Manny's done the same thing when he's won fights. He's been spoon fed after winning a fight. So no excuses. I'll let James take over a little bit, but I still want to talk about both their futures.
Right. James, any comment on what we all said there?
I mean, I definitely see your guys' point, right? And I don't disagree with it. I just think the game plan that I thought that was going to happen was that the flurry of punch, like Ugas obviously had to keep him at bay, keep the distance. Generally what Manny does is he has a flurry of punches and then it forces the other person to react quickly. And then he counter punches. And then that's where he makes a lot of his business, or he gets a lot of hits, a lot of contact. And Ugas just didn't move. He was at perfect distance. He did the perfect game plan. And Manny just couldn't adjust. Maybe not everyone sees it that way. Maybe go watch it again. Maybe I'll go watch it again, but that's what I saw. And I give credit to Ugas for doing that. I just don't think that, I mean, a lot of people say the Father Time is the thing. You said the Father Time's catching up to him, which might be the case. I don't think that was the case in this particular fight. But
watching that fight, James, you feel like if he was fighting Spence would have beat him even worse than he got beat in that fight, don't you think? I mean, if you're struggling with Ugas, I mean, Ugas is a great fighter. He's a champion and everything, but he's not Crawford. He's not Spence. He's not those top tier guys.
Different styles, man. It's different styles, different reactions. Like you gotta have big cojones to stand there being Ugas and not move when he's coming at you like that.
Yeah,
like I said, I don't know if it can be replicated. I don't even know if Ugas can replicate it, but either way, it was I don't know.
Well, that's a good transition here into what the futures are for these guys. Let's start with you, James, about the future of Manny Pacquiao going forward here. If there's a future of Manny Pacquiao. El Presidente, maybe.
Yeah, well, you can, that's uprooting Dierte. Good luck with that. That's gonna be tough. A lot of drugs in that whole country. But anyway, I don't know, man. There's been talks both ways. This is his last fight. He's gonna retire. I've heard him say it. I've heard him say that he wants a rematch because this was his. You can't believe that he did this bad against this, not this bad, but that he lost to this easy of an opponent. And you might credit that to Father Time is catching up with you. Personally, given my take, what I saw, if he saw the same thing and Ugas had the same game plan going into a rematch, I think Manny would win. So I wouldn't be opposed to having a rematch. It's very possible that he would do that. However, maybe he will hang up the towel and go, you know what? I've had a good career. I'm not damaged physically to any point where I can't, most people when they fight for this long might be in a lot worse shape. And he does a lot of stuff outside of boxing. He does a lot of stuff for boxing, a lot of stuff for his country, for his community, for people. And maybe this is the next step where you just take it gracefully. You're going to be a Hall of Famer. Some people have said that he is the greatest boxer ever. Definitely probably one of the best in my era. So I think it's probably going to lean more towards that he's going to hang up the gloves. However, I probably would like to see a rematch to see if he can change that up, but definitely not upset if he hangs up the gloves after this.
Well, here's my quick reaction to that. Is I don't want to see him going the route of Muhammad Ali and fighting one too many fights or two too many fights and get permanent damage. There's nothing left for Manny to prove. I mean, a fight against Ugas proves nothing. I mean, even a victory against Ugas proves nothing. You've already had a career. Why risk permanent damage? You're 43 allegedly years old. There's nothing left to prove. You got a family, you got politics, you got all sorts of things. There's nothing left to prove for Manny. I'd hate to see him get hurt permanently, and that could easily happen. I mean, he took a lot of shots that fight where I never saw Manny take that easy a shot a few times. Like, he could not break that jab at all, and that jab was piling up on him. I don't know. I just don't see. I love the guy. I just don't want to see him get hurt. Does that make sense?
100%.
I don't want to see him
go singing career.
Right. I don't want him going the route of Muhammad Ali, and we look back and go, man, if he just would have retired after that fight, he'd be, he'd still be around, stuff like that. Filthy Rich, comments on that, and then future on Ugas.
Look, Manny Pacquiao still has it. Errol Spence does not destroy Manny Pacquiao like you alluded to earlier. Manny Pacquiao may beat Spence. Manny Pacquiao fought a dude who looked like he was weighing in at 160. Ugas looked like a giant out there. That was a mismatch. This looked like a junior welterweight versus like a middleweight. I think Manny still has something. Give Manny 2 healthy legs, he does not beat Ugas. Give Manny 2 healthy legs, he puts up a fight against Crawford and he puts up a fight against Spence. Give Manny 2 bad legs like he had against Ugas, he beats Keith Thurman. I think he beats Sean Porter. I think he beats Mikey Garcia. I think he goes down the line and he beats the who's who of welterweights and junior welterweights. Manny Pacquiao has not lost it. This guy, this Ugas, was just a different animal. And Manny did what he could. He got, 5 rounds against Ugas? I don't know if them other guys can do it. So that's one. Number 2, I think Ugas has almost probably, at this point, he may have proved himself to be number 1 at welterweight. None of these other guys have beaten Manny Pacquiao. What's his name? Sean Porter fought Errol Spence to basically a draw. I thought Errol probably won that fight, but Sean Porter fought Ugas, and I thought Ugas won that fight. So Ugas he's defeated Pacquiao. Nobody else has defeated Pacquiao in this division. I thought there was a couple things you guys had said. I'm losing focus right now. I'm just going to go right into what's next for Ugas, but I don't think a presidency is what's next for Pacquiao. Pacquiao needs to return to the ring. He's going to wipe the floor with a bunch of guys if he wants to. First name I have on my list on what's next or who's next for Ugas, Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman did a pretty good job doing commentating Saturday night. I did enjoy him. He seemed to be enjoying himself. That radiated to the audience. I think he thinks he still has it. I think he probably thinks he can beat Ugas. I think that's probably a big money fight at this point. Ugas is really hot right now. So Ugas should go ahead and put Keith Thurman in his spot. Mikey Garcia wants to fight at 147. Mikey Garcia should be a big money fight. He's looking to be the next active fighter contract. We might talk about that another time, but Ugas, fight Mikey Garcia. Let's see if Mikey Garcia wants any of that. And lastly, Ugas beat Jamal James on 34 days rest. Jamal James deserves a rematch given some time off. Jamal James has been inactive for a while. I'd like to see Ugas, Jamal James, let it settle, and then both of them can go their separate ways. So those are the three names I have. I've taken up a lot of time. I will drink to me and you.
Right on. It's funny that you brought up Keith Thurman did a good job on there because me and James both go, I think Keith Thurman robot needs to be rebooted here because he kept freezing up, and I totally disagree. I thought he did a bad job on commentary personally.
I thought he did fine.
We kept looking at each other going, they need to he's not even moving. Look at him. It's a robot.
There were a couple of times where he just kind of, when they first started the telecast and Kate Abdo was talking, he literally was dead face staring at the camera, and I almost was like,
you couldn't look away.
Like, is he hurt? Is he having a seizure?
Hey, if Kate Abdo was talking to you, you'd be the same way. So
no, I'd be looking at her. I wouldn't be looking at the camera.
Yeah, he wasn't.
You'd be like, yeah, but you can't look at her because everyone's going to accuse you of being weird. Let's just leave.
Sean Porter didn't care. Sean Porter was looking her up and down the whole time.
Oh my goodness, Deontay Wilder's.
I was going to say this ain't Deontay Wilder. Oh my God.
Go on.
One thing that I wanted to talk about quickly on your thing with Ugas, you said Jamal James. I read a rumor here the other day. I forgot to send it to you guys that apparently Jamal James is the rumored next fighter of my guy Boots coming up here. That's the Boots says he's got a fight coming up, and the rumor that it's going to be against Jamal James. So I don't know who I'd cheer for in that fight. That's a tough one for me. That's two of my guys, But yeah,
they're all your guys, man.
Yeah, no, not all my guys. Not all my guys. Thurman ain't my guy. I'm sorry, he's not my guy. James, do you have any final thoughts on what Rich said about Ugas?
No, I think that's good, man. I think we touched on a lot. I'd be really curious to see any comments to see if anybody else agrees with the judge's take, Filthy Rich's take, or the common man rated live up there.
Right on. Well, that was our breakdown of Pacquiao and Ugas. Great fight. I hope you guys made some money on it. I know a few people I told it around town did, and that was fun, and I did as well. And I hope good health and good future for both of those guys. I'm sure we all do. And hey, after a fight like that, we can drink to both of them, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, definitely.
drink to the respect of those two fighters. Those were warriors in that ring, I tell you.
Pacquiao is still a top 5 fighter in the division.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see him get hurt. That's my thing. All right. That is our Brews and Reviews segment this week. All right, that's our show this week. Good show as always, boys. Good to see you as always. Always fun to have you guys. And Jimmy James, welcome to the basement over there. Best background I think you've ever had there. And you have a super fan behind you. Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us on home?
Look, I want to give a shout out to my friend Michael, who is moving to Germany to become an English teacher pretty soon. Michael, I'll drink to you. Du bist der Mann.
That was close. I'll give it to you. What part of Germany is he moving to?
Whoops, Austria. He's moving to Austria to teach English.
Right, right.
But he speaks German. Du bist der Mann. That means you are the man. I'll drink to me and you, Michael, not these two. They're calling me out.
I've been to Germany. Germany's beautiful there. And funny enough about Germany, all the kids are bilingual by the time they leave grade school. They teach a second language in grade school. So most people there speak English. It's crazy. So they speak English and German. When I was there, when I had to go to school there when I was a teenager. All right, whatever. Thanks a lot, jerk. All right, James, if they're watching Rich yawn, where can they listen to us? And if they're listening to Rich yawn, where can they watch him?
If you're watching us and you want to listen to us, type in Brews and Boxing into any major podcast site. And if you are listening to us and want to watch the YouTube video, go to YouTube.com/Brews and Boxing for some antics.
Very much antics. All right. Big thank you to Jimmy James for taking over the editing the last few weeks. It looks awesome, and he's doing a great job. Big thank you to Filthy Rich for just being you all the time and ripping in me a new butthole every week. And thank you to everyone else, all the viewers, for coming up and watching us and supporting us. Got a lot of big things in the future. Can't wait. We will see you guys all next week.